Tapped In Media, Russ and Rojo back at it again.
Yeah.
And this time around, Russ was not on top of his game today. He literally had me waiting outside with my son, by the way.
Yeah.
You had me waiting outside.
Yeah, sorry.
For like about 40 minutes or
I'm
so.
not going to lie. I'm nursing a hangover.
You shouldn't even be drinking anymore, dude.
But now I'm drinking my Atkins and and my water. And
it's so horrible.
I'm getting back together.
But by the way, shout out to Garrison, which was our last interview. That was pretty awesome. And hopefully we get part 2 of it.
It's badass.
If you get your stuff together.
Yeah, I'm working on that right now. I'm in the middle of editing everything together. Yes, absolutely. Big shout out to Garrison, man. Yeah, Garrison actually filled in last week too on another radio station. Big shout out to him. He's killing it out there. 991 KGGI. You can go to the website. He's been doing radio for years, and we got a great feedback on that interview.
Yep.
Thank you everybody that checked it out. Thank you everybody that followed and subscribed. That was cool.
Yeah. Make sure you follow us on IG at tappedin_media, and also make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Tapped In Media.
Right. Hit the subscribe button.
We need more subscribers.
We need
Support us.
Yes, man. Give us a shout out. Leave a comment and let us know what you guys don't like or what you do like. Don't like, we always get the don't likes.
Yeah,
people,
that's fine.
Send us negative stuff a lot of times.
So with that being said, we are excited to introduce our next guest.
Yeah, man, that's gonna be. This is cool.
His content is great. If you haven't followed him already, you should. And we're talking about the nostalgic Latino. Thank you for joining us.
Carlos.
We really appreciate you. Thank you for
hello.
the time.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm sorry that the time frame took a little bit longer than usual, but hey, I'm here. That's all that matters.
Well, it's good to have you here, man. We're good to see you here on Zoom, and we are interested in your brand. We come across a lot of different accounts as we do this show here at Tapped In, and your account came up quick on us, and we reached out, and you were kind enough to give us some of your time. So thanks for doing that. That's really cool.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, your content is actually pretty awesome, just because of the fact that a lot of what you post or create, I should say, relates to us. You know, us old heads. Back from the 80s.
Calm down, dude.
90s, and somewhat of the 2000s. I was already in my early 20s by the 2000s, but it's pretty awesome content. Like I said, if you guys have not checked it out at the Nostalgic Latino, trust me, you're gonna like it, especially if you're like in your mid 30s to late, early 40s, sort of.
Yeah, probably like mid 30s. Yeah, maybe up to maybe late 40s. There's a lot of 80s accounts too that are like, because for the most part, I always try to make a lot, unless I'm being specific about the date. Usually, I try to make most of the stuff pretty relatable in terms of what we did as younger kids, Yeah. So I'm grateful when that actually happens and it resonates through a generational aspect in that case.
Yeah. So I wanted to sort of go back a little bit, because I did go and research a lot of your content, and your first post that you had, you didn't even get, you probably only hit about maybe like 12 likes at that time. And in the meantime, it grew gradually. I mean, from the content that I seen in the beginning, your first posts, it didn't have as much as like what the content that you have now. But what I'm saying is, you kept it going. You kept the grind going, and you continued to grow your content. And now, you have such a huge following from everything that you've done. What kept you going is my question.
That's a good question. It's me personally, like, I've always had a passion for film. Like, even before I was even getting on Insta or anything like that, I was always still creating like small skits on YouTube and whatnot. And I found myself getting very burnt out because of it, because it was a long form content of just creating that. So when they introduced opportunities where you can make short form content that doesn't take that long, and be able to have enough time to throw in a punchline, then I thought that that was good enough for me. And I felt that even though I didn't get a lot of likes at the beginning, I think it mattered that the people, or I guess like the community around me, like with just my regular friends and whatnot, would see that my personality that was outside of, you know, socials translates well on socials. And thankfully I just, you know, a lot of that stuff I just thought of, and I would just put it out there. There's always constantly like random stuff that's always in your head where you'll be like, oh man, dude, I remember this, or I remember that. And then you'll have a conversation with somebody, oh dude, you remember this and you remember that. And you're like, oh dude. And then it's at that point, you just kind of start putting it on paper. I'm like, you know what? I think I'm just gonna put this out there and put it in a content matter where people might be able to remember about this. Yeah. And then I was like, you know what? Just let me keep on pushing it out. And then eventually, as it kind of grew bit by bit, you know, people started resonating, or the people started seeing it. And then at that point, it kind of became a series. And like one of the things that's a constant video or on my end is something about waking up in the middle of the night at 2 a.m.
Seen that.
Whether it's in the 90s or the 2000s, and it would be different infomercials. So I'm like, let me see if this infomercial hits, or let me see if this infomercial hits. And then eventually one ended up blowing up, and then people were like, oh dude, man, what about this one? Remember this infomercial or whatever? And then I was like, oh dude, yes. And then I would just be rolling with it. And, you know, it just kept on snowballing. And then I was like, hell yeah.
You know,
I got my validation a little bit from that.
Starting out, though, I mean, people, I'm sure, you know, let's say follower number 1, right? And now the following that you have, over 450,000 followers, right? Yeah. I mean, on
over 450K.
Right? For over 450,000 followers on your account now. I mean, what was that like to like that growing experience where you're like, wow, like all these people are following me, and now I gotta, you know, create this new content, and, you know, gotta keep going back and come up with different things. How did that feel? Like, just okay, because I mean, we have subscribers, but we don't have
we don't have the numbers
that you got. You know what I mean? So just give us a little bit of that.
So first of all, it's like when you hit a milestone, you're like, yes, these people like me. And then I'm like, am I allowed to curse on the show or anything?
Yeah, go ahead.
Of course, man. Yeah, we're a pod.
And then, so I'll be like, yes, they like me. And then 450K followers, woo. And you go, oh shit, I have 450K followers. What if they don't like me? The ratios are off. I have 450K followers, but I'm only getting 1,000 likes. What the hell is going on? You know, it's at that point, it's like there's a lot of followers. They may not engage. They may not even see my video as they're scrolling or anything like that. But one thing that I've tried to really like express to myself, or I guess it's kind of like a humbling kind of a thing, but it's like, don't worry about so much about the numbers, but worry more about the content that you're putting out. Because I think when you're putting a lot of those numbers in your head, you start, and it's not to say that you shouldn't be constantly reaching higher and higher, but I think you end up competing in yourself in a very losing manner. It's like I keep on missing these shots, so let me just keep on flinging them until one of them goes in. But in reality, it's just, you know, just keep on missing the shots, and if it makes it, then it makes it. If it doesn't, well, then just go to the next hoop. You know?
That's true. I agree with that, because I find myself kind of being getting frustrated with some of the posts that we're posting on our end, and yet on my own personal, I'll post something and I ended up getting, like, just this last one that I have up there. I created some content and I got over almost 80K likes, and over 700 comments. I'm like, I can't even keep up with these comments. I'm like, so this is what it's like. I had like 2 posts that have those numbers, and yet when I try to do something like that on for our own podcast, I'm like, I see 2 likes, 3 likes, and I'm like, damn, what are we doing wrong? And it gets frustrating. It gets to your head because obviously we're in that stepping stone where we're trying to create and build something. We're trying to build our brand, and this is why we're doing this, because we want people to understand what it takes, what, the grind, the hustle, and a lot of the work that goes behind trying to create content like yourself, or being able to build a podcast like ourselves, or a YouTube channel. It's not easy, and I catch myself frustrated with these numbers. And so I like what you said. I mean, it's a great point. It's not always about those numbers. It's just about keep pushing.
It's
really about consistency. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you brought up consistency. What do you need to? Are there any people that reach out to you and tell you, hey, like a cease and desist, like when you use characters or anything like for Disney, or do you ever get any encounters like that? Because we've got a C&D before on another podcast that we used to do, and they sent us something about what we can't say as far as a brand. Do you ever encounter anything like that?
Luckily, I haven't. I mean, I've gotten like copyright issues in terms of like audio, but nothing that is crazy where Disney will reach out to me and like, you can't be sharing videos of the Lion King on your video,
right?
Or else we're gonna sue you. Like, it's and for the most part, I think unless I am like bashing, or like it's a misuse, or if I'm, it's a disillusionment of maybe some kind of brand or something, then I can understand if they would reach out.
Right.
But for the most part, a lot of my content, thankfully, is pretty wholesome when it comes to that type of intellectual product or content, where I'm not really, talking smack or anything like that. It's just more or less just either listening to certain lyrics from a certain song and just relating it to something, or I'm using like 15 seconds of like a Disney clip from The Lion King and comparing it to 15 seconds of a current Disney movie, and then it's not to the point where it's like, hey, you know what, we need our lawyers to step in and do a cease and desist. I mean, because it's not. I do too much content for me to revolve around one thing. So if I was like a Disney account and I was just talking smack about a bunch of stuff, then I feel like there's more risk there. But since I'm always kind of reaching into the, melting pot of all of this nostalgia, there's always constantly things. So I'm not consistent in regards to one particular type of brand, but I'm very consistent in terms of the theming, if anything, if that makes sense.
And speaking of music and themes, there was this one post where I'm like, yeah, he's right, and it has to do with I'm Blue. I can relate to that video because I actually thought it was about an alien. I thought it was actually singing about an alien. I'm Blue.
Yeah.
I thought he was really singing about an alien.
Really?
And he has that pose, so it's like, here I thought it was about an alien.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Yeah, it's really funny because you'll have stuff that's like, you'll listen to music that you probably had no business listening to as a kid, and then you start listening to the lyrics as an adult, and then you'll be like, oh shit, he was talking about that?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
why are the contents of these lyrics so deep? And then you're like, and you get very pensive, and then you're thinking about it, and like, whoa, my God, this makes sense. But in reality, 20 plus years ago, you were, rocking the floor in the middle school. You're dancing to this, and you had no clue what was going on. You're just going, so you're just, you're rolling in, and you're doing your thing. So it's just as funny. And there's a lot of music where the lyrics, they just don't match up with what the music was actually about, and you just, in reality, you're just liking the beat, the rhythm, and you're just dancing all over it. But in reality, you're probably dancing to about, somebody who having severe depression and stuff like that, and you're like, what the hell?
Speaking of music, I wanted to ask you. You've done some content skits on your Instagram where you talk about LimeWire. I remember the whole LimeWire and Napster.
That was crazy.
Yeah, having to download, waiting for the download like 2 hours. And then finally, I'm very into Tupac. So every time I saw something that had to do with Tupac, I'm thinking like, oh, new song. What? Like, let me download this. And all of a sudden, it's like, wait a minute. It's just a different beat, but it's the same lyrics. They just would change it up. And then I noticed like one of yours, or you called it Michael Jackson, the nasty version.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to ask, where do you get that version? Like, how did you get that?
That is actually a song.
Really?
You could probably find it on Spotify. I use Spotify. I'm not trying to pimp out any type of Apple Music or Spotify. It's just me. But if you look up a song and it's called Nut in You.
Oh.
Yeah, and I forgot the name of the guy, but if you look it up and it's like it's Rock With You, but they replaced the lyrics with Nut in You, but it's just it's pretty yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just it's really funny. It's just see all of these parodies because back in the day, my camera, because back in the day back in the day it was like you were with LimeWire, you didn't really know what you were getting. I mean, you mentioned Tupac, but then in reality, you'll probably be like, you'll hear the song and be like, this is Tupac, back from the grave.
Like Dave Chappelle.
I'm giving you the new shit. Ooh.
Hell yeah. We're hanging out with right here the nostalgic Latino. He's a popular Instagram. You got to check it out.
Definitely got to check out.
Yeah, Carlos Castillo. Go on there now. He loves when people buy him a coffee. I did notice that in your link in your bio. Buy me a coffee. And do people buy you a coffee though? I mean, I gotta ask, like, cause I put treats in hours, and no one's ever bought us any food. So we've always
tried. I don't want treats.
I mean, food.
Give me some
like
whiskey.
I'm just, you know what I'm talking about though. But do people buy you a coffee?
Yeah. So the buy me a coffee thing is just a donation link. It's just hey, if you like my content, feel free to do it. I know that there's people that will try to monetize a lot of their stuff, and I do this stuff for a passion, and I just put that link there just to be able to just to show appreciation. Think of it as just putting a hat out and I'm just performing.
For sure.
Yeah. And then if you want to put something in it, then you want to put something in it, because obviously there are subscribe options where I think you could pay a certain amount a month, but I didn't feel right. Me personally, I didn't feel right having to charge people to watch my content, exclusive content, maybe somewhere down the line if something happens, but as of right now, it's just
once you hit the million followers,
maybe
there we go.
I don't know. We'll
That's
see.
what's up.
But so in the meantime, I just put the little buy me coffee. It's not literally buying me a coffee. It's just basically like $1 is equivalent to a coffee. So like, hey, I bought you 3 coffees,
Nice.
And then a little donation pops up.
Carlos, do you do any? Sorry to interrupt you there. Do you do any stand-up stuff, like any stand-up comedy or shows like that to promote your brand and yourself?
I do not, and main reason is because I am fucking scared. There's no way. It's funny because
how can you say you're scared when a lot of your content? I mean, you're performing.
Yeah,
but it's different. It's different because I can plan out my punchline a little bit.
That's true. And nobody's really watching you either.
Yeah,
if you're
so it's
doing
not
stand-up, all eyes are on you.
So the thing is, like, even if, let's say if I make a video and it completely bombs, I don't have to look at that video again. I don't have to respond to comments. I don't have to do anything, and I just go on to the next video, you know? Because obviously, if there's something that's pretty good, you know, people will comment and they'll interact and whatnot. But if it's something that's not funny, you know, on occasion you'll have a few flops there. Like when you're used to getting, you know, thousands of likes, but then you post something and it's only like 750 likes out of what you normally get. You're like, okay, I'm not funny. That sucks. You know? And then it's like, and then I'm just thinking about it. Imagine if I bombed this hard in front of a live audience. Hell nah. You know, but there's people that are constantly.
It's the same thing, you know, like you got to just continue grinding it out until, you know, you can find the right, you know, comedy skit that people will enjoy.
Yeah, essentially. So it's weird because a lot of folks have been suggesting that I do it, but I've been like, nah, man, you don't want me to do it, and they're like, yeah, dude, all you gotta do is just say, just post it, and people will come. I'm positive, and I'm like, I don't know, man. It's just, it's almost as like a little bit of pressure when somebody says, oh, hey guys, here's my friend Carlos. He's popular on Instagram. Hey, Carlos, be funny. And I'm like,
I don't really got anything right now.
Yeah, I don't got anything right now, man.
You're not like, you don't know how to be funny at that moment. You know,
I'm not very quick-witted in that regard. So it's like, usually when I try to do something, I think of what is the theme I'm thinking of, what is the punchline, and how am I going to get there?
Right.
So and then I feel that if I don't do that, then like it's not like something I could think of, like, you know,
off top. But so when you're planning skits, or when you're planning your videos, do you write any of the content, or is it just mostly off the top and then you just kind of, you know, make that idea come to light? How does the creative process work for you?
So for me, I tend to notate it in my little notes on my phone. If there's something that just comes up out of a conversation and somebody will mention, like, I don't know, pine salt or something, and I'm like, oh, pine salt. I'm like, hey, y'all remember that lady that always said, that's the power of pine salt, baby? You know, and then it's like, and you're like, whoa. I'm like, you remember those commercials? And you know, it's just something random like that, or like Larry H. Parker got me 2.1 million.
Oh yeah,
and then he just passed and stuff. And I was thinking about creating something based off of that. So sometimes it may be even relatable to like current events and stuff like that. And
cool. Yeah.
And that may actually spawn something. Like, for example, more recently, like the 99-cent store situation where all of them got closed. And as kind of like a big deal, because I feel like it was those types of discount stores, specifically 99 cents here in LA. I don't know if it's, you know, relatable with anybody else, like in other states or anything, but there's a lot of families and a lot of stuff that are, you know, a lot of people that probably depended on that stuff. So when you hear about that going down, it makes you think of all of the times when, like, at least for me, where like my mom would be like, oh yeah, vamos a la 99, you know, and then you're like, oh, you know, and at the time you're like, oh man, I don't want to go to the 99-cent store, but but it was an easy way to get your mom to get you to buy something.
That's
because
true.
it was significantly cheaper than anything else. Like you could get, you know, back then it was like a Snickers bar. You go to the liquor store and you're buying it for like a dollar, but you could go to the 99-cent store. You could tell your mom to get you a Snickers, a Twix, 100 grand, and something else, and four for $1.
That's right.
Like, yeah,
That's true.
So it was just one of those things where you're like, okay, so man, you know, 99 cents only stores, you know, it hits different, you know, as you know, back in the day when you were a kid.
For sure.
So it was like, it's like when you watch that stuff going on right now, it's sad, but
it is,
you know, you're grateful for the memories that you created, and that stirred up some memories on my end, and I was thinking about creating something based off of that.
Yeah.
So
well, at least we got Dollar Tree.
Yeah, but they're gonna be, you know, $5 tree at that point.
It's no true.
Doubt,
it's not $1 anymore.
Everything that's going on. So that's cool that you create the current events is always a good way to like go about and create your content.
I do have a one where I don't know if you've ever heard of Laboratorios Camacho. You ever heard that commercial?
No.
Okay, that commercial, it was an infomercial, and it was always coming on radio. It would come out at night, and it would even during the day. It was just a creepy voiceover guy, Laboratorios Camacho, and the music bed underneath it was just like creepy. And Laboratorios Camacho was an Almani, but I think you should look that one up and maybe do a skit off of that, because it was just creepy. As a kid, it would creep me out because of the way that it sounded. I don't know. It was just creepy to me.
I've never even heard that.
Laboratorios Camacho. Solamente aquí exclusivo en el 97.9 la X.
Oh man! But
you do a great broadcaster, like the Spanish one. I always make fun of it, but I it's really good. Like the voiceover that he does is pretty good, and
I try. I used to do. I kind of was training or doing voiceovers. I did a few commercials, but
do you ever get offers like that to do voiceover stuff, or do people hit you up for things like that?
You know what? What's funny is that a lot of my content doesn't really revolve too much using my real voice, because I'm usually concentrating on the content of the music that's whatever going on. And you just made me think about that. Because, like, for example, like how he mentioned the I'm Blue music video.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, in my head, I'm lip syncing to the music, and then I found out, wait, this song is about depression? Like, I'm not saying it out with my voice. And then I started thinking about it, like, well, I think I haven't really highlighted any impersonations on my channel now that I think about it. And it's probably something that I should probably do. Something a little bit more voicey. But I do get, offers, but just not for like voices. It'll be like, ads or something like that. And if the ad fits, then
Do you feel like you are?
It would be nice though.
Yeah, no doubt.
Do you feel like you're in competition with other digital creators that are the same relevance as your content, or do you just like I just do my thing and you know what I just let it be?
I think when you're in that same field, you start to kind of build a community, and you really start to I guess seek support, if anything. The thing is, one thing that's very important, at least to me, is that I think if you see it as a competition, then you're not necessarily going to be satisfied with anything that you put out. And I think it really leads to a very toxic mindset that you're just not, like, you're just going to be mad all the time, in my opinion. Especially if you don't, like, hit that number, or you're not reaching a follower count or something like that. And I always try to do my best to try to cheer on the successes of anybody else, that's in, whether they're in the same kind of field or the same kind of theming or whatnot. Because there's been accounts that started, after me, and they've overpassed me and stuff like that too. But it's more about rooting about each other's successes. That way they would be able to root for your success as well. Because that's the thing that that's, in my opinion, that's probably the most important, is to get validation from your peers and letting you know what, that was actually pretty funny, and then they can also give you feedback, and they could give you advice, and they could even give you ideas. And the best part about this is that you can actually collaborate with a lot of these folks too. So,
yeah, exactly.
But
that's good.
There are a few creators out there that just see it as a competition, and they're very very boastful about it.
Wow.
And
sorry, go ahead. So they're vocal, like competitive in a competitive way, where they're like, I'm gonna get more likes or get better content than you or do more than you. There is that edge.
It's not like a personal attack or anything, but it's like you can kind of tell. it through like conversations where like, well, where it'll be like, oh man, I can't believe that, you know, this did so much better than yours. You know, it's like they're not necessarily direct attacks, but it's like there's a lot of subtle stuff that goes on, I guess, for a lot of these things, for a lot of these creators. And I feel that they don't really get that type of support that they would think that they probably deserve, in my opinion, because there's a lot of creative content creators that are on there, and I think that if you, in my opinion, I think even if you see somebody that's just starting up, you know, just give them a shout out, or just comment, like it, say what you thought about it, you know, but there's, you know, there's people that are out there there's even commenters that'll be like, oh well, this content creator did it better than yours, or they'll try, and there's people that always try to stir up shit, or they'll be like,
do you ever get any crazy hate mail?
Yeah, well, I don't get hate mail, I get hate comments. but man, those are pretty brutal. But yeah,
the negativity, man.
The thing is that there's somebody that was, because there was one post that I posted where I was like in a pool, and then you dive in, and then, you know, when you're underneath the water, you'll talk and you'll say a bunch of crap or whatever, and then you'll have people that'll just either like body shame you, or they'll just say that this is really stupid, this has never happened, or this is what I actually say, what you were saying down there wasn't really what you were saying, and it's a lot. Like, eventually you learn to be able to kind of filter out those words, because there's settings that you can do, so that way your comment section doesn't get very toxic.
Yeah.
But there's people that'll be like, you know, like, I can't believe that there's people that'll be like, I can't believe everybody in the comment section is like this or whatever. But in reality, and sometimes I'll respond, but I don't really respond in terms of like hate as well.
Mm-hmm.
I usually tend to respond in kindness, and
nice.
And usually they tend to back off right after that, because they'll say like, oh man, you know, this big dude is, you know, he's gonna do this or do that or eat that, or he doesn't fit in this or whatever. So I'm a big guy, so I try to be as inclusive as possible to a lot of bigger people in general. And eventually, you know, I'll be like, you know, I'll be like, dude, I don't have time to look at a lot of these comments. I'm like, I'm just trying to make you smile, bro, but I appreciate you know, giving me the feedback.
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, whoa, bro, I didn't mean it that way. You know, I just hope you have a nice day. And then, you know, they'll back off or whatever.
That's good.
But yeah, that's it. I think if you respond with more hate or vitriol like that, then you're just feeding the trolls
to the fire.
Yeah, and then they're just gonna keep on talking shit to you, and then at that point you're like, it's a losing battle, because it makes you look bad,
right,
as a creator. But you know, it's because the person that's already talking shit, they already look bad for doing it.
True.
But if you do it back as well, then it just makes you look bad.
Yeah,
but unless you have a very quick-witted, funny like pun or something, or
of course,
comment and hit it. But
back.
But one thing I tend to do is that when there are hate comments, is that if the comment is really out of pocket and you're like, what the hell, you know, what I tend to do is that you can actually pin that person's comment to the very top of your page.
Oh, nice.
So you don't even have to do anything. All you have to do is just pin it, and then your community that actually likes your content will probably end up dogpiling all over that fool. And then you just leave it on there, because like somebody was like, I think there was another one where somebody ended up messaging or putting a comment. I'm like, dude, you're so old. Get a real job and stop creating all of this trash, you know? And then I pinned it, and then everybody just went on this fool, because they looked at his profile, because his profile was like, you know, be kind to others, don't judge, and all of that. It's like
totally
those
contradicting.
Yeah, and everybody just kind of just went off on this dude, and it
that's
really
a good
bad.
way. That is definitely a good way of like putting them on blast, basically, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Carlos, real quick, man. Sorry, I got you. We're gonna can we keep you on for a little bit because we're gonna take a real quick
We're gonna
break.
take a break.
Yeah, we're gonna take a break real quick, and we're gonna come back, and then we want to ask you a couple more things, and then we're gonna wrap this up because we do like your story, and we love to hear more about
and we have a few more questions.
A few more questions from some of your
we're running out of time, guys. Our producer in the back is like, hurry up and wrap it up, you assholes.
We're hanging out with a nostalgic Latino right here on Tapped In Media. Thanks for giving us time, and go ahead and check him out on his Instagram page and check out some of his posts. We are back with Carlos. It's Tapped In Media. What's going on, everybody? The nostalgic Latino on Instagram, right? With over 450,000 followers. Carlos, thanks for joining us again. We appreciate it. And it was really cool to catch up on some of your posts here that we were talking about. That's why we wanted to do to come back again and talk about another.
Yeah, we're still on the cheap end, low budget.
Yeah,
so we can't afford the full-on Zoom
package
subscription. This is why I hate Zoom, but he somehow loves it.
I do.
We used to have, matter of fact, this thing when we had our old podcast. It was this thing that he decided he wanted to do, which was called Zoom on Friends on Time. What was it called?
Time with Friends on Zoom.
Oh, that's what it was called. Yeah, that
didn't go anywhere.
That didn't go anywhere.
Whatever.
But he loves Zoom. I don't know why, but he loves Zoom. I hate it,
man.
I like in-person
way
to interact.
You know what? In person would have been cool too, as well. Now I think about it. No, because when you guys had mentioned that you guys were based out of Santa Ana, right?
No.
What?
We're in the IE.
We're in the IE right now, Bloomington.
Oh shoot!
Well, I mean, he's in Bloomington. I'm in Upland.
He's in Upland. Where are you at, Carlos?
I'm in Inglewood, so I'm like next. I'm next to the airport here.
Oh wow, you're way out there, man.
Yeah. Every time I always mention, I'm like, "Hey, Carlos, where are you from?" And I'm like, Inglewood, and then they'll be like, Inglewood, and then they always say,
up to no good.
Always up to no good.
Yeah.
And then my eyes end up rolling harder every time. I hear it every single time. At that point, I might as well just say, "Hey, look, guys, I'm from LA." And then at that point, they'll be like, "Well, LA's a lot. What part of LA?" And then I'm like, "Well, Inglewood." Oh, Inglewood. Yeah, and it's like all over again.
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, I got schooled not too long ago by my coworker. He's old school, from LA, from East LA, and he was telling me like, no, that's not East LA. We always assume that like Soto Street, Highland Park, those areas, Echo Park, are East LA. They're not East LA. It's LA. Floral Heights, Montebello, Whittier, that's all East LA. I'm like, wow, okay, that's totally my bad. And he was scolding me because you gotta know LA.
Yeah.
I always used to say, I grew up. I was born in East LA. Whereabouts? USC Medical Center. It's not LA. Come to find out, it's not East LA. It's LA.
It's so big, though. It's hard to say.
It's just
so massive out here. So.
Nobody ever says that they're from downtown LA. Hell no. Nobody.
Inglewood?
Or South. I know.
People do
say South
I
Bay.
did do that, though. That is kind of annoying, right?
Yeah.
You got him pissed. He's about to click. I'm done with this interview.
He's all these guys.
Like,
I'm like, freaking joke right there.
He keeps on doing it. Jesus.
Have prices as far as like housing and all that gone up? I mean, is it getting very gentrified out in Inglewood?
Yeah, right now it's actually because they built the SoFi Stadium nearby.
Yeah.
It's a 5-minute drive now.
Wow.
And then they're building the new Intuit Dome as well.
Intuit?
So
Intuit.
That's the Clippers.
Or the
Clippers
Flippers.
Stadium. This guy, I'm a Clipper fan, man.
Oh no!
Yo, I could see.
Look at you could already tell. Like once he ended up starting talking smack about him, I was like, okay, this guy is a Laker fan.
He
I already
immediately
know.
said, "This guy."
This guy.
I was like, "Oh, I got that right there." Yeah, we are big Laker fans, and
you know what? I'll be quite honest with you. I stopped watching basketball, baseball, even football for that matter. When COVID hit, I really got turned off by all their political crap that was going on. And I'm a big MMA fan, and I do MMA myself. I've been off and on just because of my busy schedule, but I got more involved into the whole MMA and the fighting and all that because
Skylight's getting his ass kicked, dude.
They're not as woke. I do get my ass kicked a lot. No, I'm just kidding.
Have you guys been watching basketball for like a long time?
Oh, I was a religious type of person that would watch basketball, and if the Lakers would lose, I was one of those very angry, passionate type of fans. Then my wife would hate it because I would be angry and she didn't want to talk to me. She's like, "You're just annoying. Like, why do you have to get upset over that? Like, you don't understand."
Yeah, I'm pretty.
I'm not like that anymore, actually.
This is why we go to therapy, okay? Couples therapy.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Do you guys remember? Dun, 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 dun,
oh yeah, that's wow, we're really gonna do this?
Yeah, I'm all about.
You're right back at the NBA Finals with the Lakers.
Such a sports
down by 3 to the Boston Celtics. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, he had to say we're down by
3 to the Boston Celtics. Yeah, no, I see that jab right there. That was good.
That's a good jab.
I like you guys ended up winning. You guys won.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
And we did jab on the Clippers, so fair enough. This guy.
At least I'm assuming you guys are Dodgers fans, right?
Oh
yeah,
man,
we are.
Let's go.
Okay, then we're okay.
Yeah, right.
We're okay. At least we're on that.
We're okay.
I think that's the common ground, man. Right there is that Dodgers.
It's funny because I have to. For example, this is really good. It's like in regards to like my content, I tend to stray away from politics and sports because they're very divisive. Mm-hmm. So the last thing I want is making enemies or anything. But if I'm at a Dodger game or I'm at an Angel game, a Galaxy game, LAFC, Laker, or whatever,
right?
I always throw out that I have to support all LA teams because they're, I don't want anybody talking shit to me.
Do people recognize?
Well, let's just be clear. The Angels are not LA. They just call themselves the Los Angeles Angels.
But they're local, so it's like,
when you're out there and out there going to events and stuff like that, do people notice you? Do you get noticed out there?
Yeah, I do.
Really?
People asking for autographs? Let's be real.
They don't ask me for autographs. They ask me for photos and selfies.
A selfie? That's cool. Wow,
photos and
man.
selfies.
You should take a picture and do like a screenshot so we can pretend we just got a selfie with him.
We got a whole.
No, yeah, and because the thing is that one thing that I always do in a lot of my videos, I do like this face, like a shocked face. So a lot of people like that. They think it's really hilarious because it's like my eyes are popping out and stuff like that. So every time they would ask for a photo, I'll always do the face. I'll be like, and I'm like, "Oh, do the shocked face with me too," and then they'll be doing it. And then it's like, oh, hey. And it's like, so it really gets them into it. Yeah, because I went to WonderCon, which is a anime pop culture TV convention that was in Anaheim. And I got stopped plenty of times. It's really nice. I actually prefer going there because it allows me to meet a lot of folks that follow my content and they just enjoy it. And I'm kind of in my element because I love all of that stuff.
Yeah, I noticed in the background you have the what's the moon guy's name? I mean, you got a lot of
Mac Tonight guy.
Mac Tonight,
yeah. Usually in my background of a lot of my videos, I have these 3 posters. So I have the Moon Man from McDonald's. I have like this 80s kid falling asleep, and there's like a Super Nintendo stuff, and then there's the DeLorean from Back to the Future.
Yeah.
So everything is all time based. So
that's cool.
The nostalgia.
Speaking of time-based, there was another video that I saw, Tales from the Crypt. And I loved watching Tales from the Crypt, and that video that you did of it, it kind of reminded me of like when, not to get X-rated or anything, but I remember watching one particular Tales from the Crypt, and it'll always stick with me because it was basically my first soft porn movie that I watched, and it had to do with this river that had like this blob. It was like the blob would like suck in the people, and towards the end of the movie, the girl is on the deck, and the guy's on top of her, and but she's getting naked. Then all of a sudden, I guess that blob went underneath that deck and just started pulling her skin down. Basically started pulling her down. And I will always remember that, because not only was Tales from the Crypt awesome, but I shout out to Tales from the Crypt for showing me my first soft porn.
I was like, where are you going?
You know what's funny
as soon
is
as
that
I seen it, that's what it reminded me of.
That's
man.
That's the nostalgia of it.
That's true.
It is nostalgic. It's funny because that you mentioned that, because Tales from the Crypt, as a kid, I only liked watching the intro, which was that really cool intro where it's it's almost like a ride for.
Yes, it is.
And but then I wouldn't watch the actual actual episode because I was too young, and it was like this is boring. What the hell is going on? Yeah, I didn't understand like the adult themes and stuff at that time. It was just maybe it was also kind of a scaredy cat too. So I wasn't like really like into like scary stuff at the time.
I
mean, had I known that it was like softcore, action of a girl getting decked down and then on a deck, and then at that point I probably would have tuned in.
I mean, they had a couple of shows where they had showed soft porn. When I first saw that one, I totally tuned in. I was like, I'm watching all the time. Right. And it would show every time Tales from the Crypt would come on, it would show 3 shows at once.
We find out today that Rojo is cochino.
Yeah, I just learned something new about this guy. Give me the soft porn story there.
I mean, it takes me back. Some of the other stuff, like, was the one of the other videos that I seen was staying late at a friend's house playing Nintendo. Like, I did that all the time.
Oh, that's
where you have one where your dad comes in, it's like 3 a.m, and he's yelling at you, "Ya paga esa chingadera."
Yeah.
I remember being at my friend's house because I myself, growing up, did not have any Nintendo systems or any game systems. I was too poor, honestly. So I was always across my friend, my best friend at the time. I was always across the street with him, and I'm surprised that his mom never actually kicked me out by the time 7 o'clock came around.
You were
because
over
it was
there
a
that
school
much?
night. Yeah, I was always there because and I'm playing Nintendo. I'm playing Super Mario's or Zelda with him, and it's like 10 o'clock at night. Yeah,
that's pretty cool. But I mean, you guys got to play video games. I did like playing video games with my friends late at night. That was the best.
It was cool. If you managed to get a sleepover going, then it was, it's all out.
See, you got us thinking like that. I love that, the nostalgic part of things, of just kind of going down memory lane. And I'm sure that when you were building, your content, you were thinking about all these awesome things that brought you where you are today. Now almost 500,000 people are following you, and your journey. Where do you see it going from here?
It's just a matter of being consistent, brother. I mean, the thing is that nostalgia is constantly being extended. And I think because even something that I wouldn't have thought that was nostalgic, a few years ago, is probably nostalgic now, or something that wasn't nostalgic 10 years ago, it's kind of nostalgic now. So it'll be like, most of my stuff revolves around 90s and 2000 stuff.
Yeah.
But at some point, it's like, as we keep on getting older, then where I'm like, is my content going to be 2010s now?
Oh,
because
right.
I'm going to be like, I'm thinking about stuff that we enjoyed back in 2010, like musics that were bangers, or the movies that came out, or what we were doing at that time. It probably won't be like in a kid format, but it'll be like, damn, it's like, y'all remember, how good the summer of 2009 was? Or, and then, like, it'll be like something random like that. But I mean, my heart is always, along the 90s and the 2000s, because I was like the peak of my, of what kind of molded most of my tastes and my personality traits, if anything.
For sure.
I felt like my brain was hella molded within that time frame.
You kind of did do one where it kind of intertwines the past and today's present. which was it was a content that you created, and I think it said the 80s bully or the 90s bully, and give me all your lunch money. It's like, bro, just say that you're broke. On God.
Yeah,
like, the way they talk
on God, just.
That was hilarious. I'm like, oh my God, that would probably be.
And the bully's like, you know. So,
yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, because obviously, I feel like it's a completely type of people nowadays. I think that kids are just more likely to to say, oh, that's cap,
that's cap.
Or
no cap,
or that's cap on God. For real.
Yeah, for real. Like and it's funny, that whole cap word, if you go back to it, if you guys remember, we used to use that as in like, or the gang members used to use it. I'm gonna bust a cap in his ass.
Oh, right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cap that fool.
I'm gonna cap that fool.
Yeah,
and then it turned into, ooh, you got capped on, you got made fun of.
Yeah.
Now it's used for no cap, like no lie. Like, I mean, that word is evolving.
I mean,
I wonder what it's gonna be next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you say dude a lot? Like, I mean,
I do say dude a lot.
So do
like,
I. Yeah.
Usually, anytime I have like a story to tell, I'm like, oh, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, have you seen what happened?
That's like one of those words that never go away.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like an LA thing, or maybe like a California thing. To be honest with you, I don't think
it's a surfer. I think it doesn't originate from like California surfers.
Yeah, coastline.
Or it might even be like a Latino thing, for all I know. To be honest,
I guess we'll have to search up on that history of the dude.
Yeah, it'll be like I don't know, like, no, dude, come on, dude.
Every
time,
it's
right? Like.
Even like the newer generation is still all about that. I still hearing the kids still saying it now, like, dude. I'm like, wow. You would think like it would just fade out, completely, but just funny how like you were saying too, like no cap or capping on.
Well, like my son, he'll say like, hey yo, and then that's their word too, like yo, like you guys act like you guys made this word something. Yo, like discovered something. Like you don't realize how far back it goes.
Yeah.
I love it, man.
It's So I mean, that's the gist of it. But I don't know. But I always try to make it. If I can get things that are involved in this generation and kind of link it up with today, then those are really cool too. Just because it's relatable all across the lines.
Do you have any sponsors that you work with, or any affiliates?
Not specifically. I do brand stuff on occasion. If it links up with what I do for content. So like if it's something nostalgic or something nostalgic in mind, or maybe even something Latino, based, right, then I tend to work with that. But if you just give me something like, oh hey, we got this brand deal for Dr. Scholl's foot soles for you. And I'm like, because the thing is that for me, it's like if it feels like a very disingenuous ad, it's like I personally don't feel that good about it. Yeah, it just feels like I'm very selling outy, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I just like, for me, I tend to stick with things that are related towards my theming of my content. Because otherwise, then it feels like I'm kind of trying too hard, and then it's not like I'm being me. Because I think that me being me is really important on this app. Because like how I was mentioning, like with my friends, how I'm able to transition, does my personality transition well into my content that I post? I ask myself, for people that follow me or people that run into me or say hi or whatever, I'm hoping that my personality that you see on the screen, as you first saw me, translates well to who I am in real life with that person. So it's the same thing with you guys. Like, even though you guys are seeing, me being silly or whatever, I'm hoping that my personality is also translating well with you guys, and you guys will probably be, after the interview, you'll be like, you know what, it's actually kind of like how he is in his videos. Just, hopefully he's a little, he's probably a little bit nicer and a little bit more forward or direct or whatever. And then afterwards I'm like, man, fuck that fool. That fool's a poser,
But no, there's no reason for us to be that way. I mean, there was a reason why we brought you on, and we enjoy your content. We follow you, so there's no reason for us to like after this somehow like some hate. Which I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's just more or less like I'm hoping that I make, even though I may have been impressionable on socials with my content, I'm hoping that I'm just as impressionable in a good way. Like I'm not trying too hard, but impressionable in the fact that, I'm just an overall trying my best to be a good person, to just be respectable, polite, and whatever. Jokey and whatever.
That makes sense, because there is a lot of people who you probably think that they're awesome people because they look fun, they're doing funny stuff in their content, but outside of it, they're kind of like an introvert, or they're very quiet, or they don't even like to speak to people. There is those people. There are those people. Sure. So I get what you're saying. I know where you're coming from with that. You want to say something?
Oh, no.
I
was looking at you. I was like, I was just listening to what you were saying. That's all.
Well, let me keep on nodding my head here, sir. I agree with everything that you have to say.
I apologize for this guy because he woke up a little hungry.
Nah, it would have been awesome if he would have just been like, I was like, anything you got to say? I think he should have just said, ditto. And then, okay, like this fool.
This fool.
No, I mean, I had a little bit too much to drink last night. I've been trying to put it under control, but yesterday I went a little bit over the top and drank more than I normally did. And I took shots, and usually I don't. So, I'm a little, and what's crazy is we have like our notes, and we do like, we do all this setup and stuff like that. We got everything down. And I am just like, I'm looking at him and I'm like, yeah, I like that, And then I'm looking over here at the notes, and I know that like, I could relate to things with him. And he's like, you can help me? Because we did an interview about a couple weeks ago. We did an interview, and I said something, and he did the same thing to me. I was like, are you going to help me out here?
I kind of was like, no, I'm just letting you run with it.
I think we find ourselves in that little position sometimes where we're just like, we've been doing this for so long. We've done a lot of shows together, and I just kind of like get lost where I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that is pretty cool. And then
maybe it's a good thing because it's like a real conversation, and you're just like, oh yeah, it's like it's like when everybody laughs for a while, like ha 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 ha, and then everybody just kind of chills for like a good 2 minutes, and you're just chilling, and nobody says anything, and you're just kind of in the moment.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you're like, this fool anyway. So,
That's true.
That is like, awesome, man.
You know what? He some of his content brings back a lot of the swap meet, or la pulga as they call them too. I hated going to swap meets.
I love swap meets.
But if there was one thing, or a couple things I should say, that was enjoyable about the swap meet, was the fact that you can go there and get like packets of stink bombs. You remember the stink bombs?
The stink bombs, the poppers.
The poppers.
Yeah, those are the poppers.
And you just
awesome,
throw them around, and he has content that relates to that. Yeah, where he's walking around and throwing those poppers. My son loves those things, so I try to find them as much as possible.
Those
and just throw them around everywhere and just pop.
Throw them at people.
Unfortunately, they don't have those stink bombs anymore.
No, those things are gross though. Too.
Those were awesome. Those
are cool. You would step on it so that way they start blowing up. And oh shit! You just throw it away and throw it somewhere. You just better hope it stinks up everything. But I really enjoy doing those. I feel like that's like for the goals of a lot of my videos is finding that sweet spot where it's Latino based and also nostalgia based.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're both mended in that regard, then I feel like that's like my sweet spot, because there's a lot of people that are doing nostalgic content, but Latino based nostalgic content is really cool, at least on that aspect. Like it's not just a Spanish speaking only content or anything like that, but the fact that it's like us as maybe Latino Americans, Hispanic Americans, that grow up, because it's a different type of culture, because you're kind of in you're embedded in the culture from your home based off of where your parents are from.
Yep.
But you're also trying to embed yourself in the American culture as well. So you're kind of butting heads a little bit, but when they're able to mesh a little bit with the content, I think that's the sweet spot for me.
That's
true.
Awesome.
That's very true.
We're talking with Carlos Castillo. He has the Nostalgic Latino on Instagram. You can support him at buymeacoffee.com/the Nostalgic Latino.
Is it that? I don't even know the link of that thing.
Yeah,
but
I was looking.
I mean, I don't expect people to pay me or anything.
Well, no, but I mean, they gotta support the stuff that you do, bro. That's cool.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm being real, and I'm not being like, oh, this was just being humble. It's cool. I'm like, all you can do is just, if you want to follow. Just, if you like my content, hit a like. If you want to say something funny, that's not a hate comment. Say it in the comment section. That's all. And just share the content. That's all I really ask.
Speaking of coffee, you live in Inglewood. We have a friend that's from Inglewood. She just created her own brand of coffee. It's called Del Cid Coffee. She's Guatemalan, and she's always at the farmers markets out there in the South Bay and around that area. So you might want to check her out. She's on Instagram. I think it's under Coffee Del Cid. Yeah. So it's DELCID. Yeah.
CID, which is cool because I think and this is not to discredit anybody, but how like there's a lot of like a lot of the stuff that I grew up with is very Mexican based. Mm-hmm. So anytime I'm not saying anything bad about Mexicans or anything. No, hell no. I'd be fucking canceled and I'd probably get shot. They'd be busting a cap on me, fool.
I'd come after you busting a cap.
Yeah, no, they'd be busting a cap on me. No, I'm just saying it's because since everything's very more relatable for a lot of Mexicans, there's a larger population. Yeah. Anytime that I hear about, whether they're Salvadorian, Guatemalan, Nicaraguan, if even Central American, it's kind of like finding a needle in a haystack for me. It's true. So whenever I find out that there's somebody else that's a small business creating content and they're not part of the bigger demographic of Latinos, it's like I think that's really cool, and I always try to support them the most whenever I can.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So I'll check her out.
Yeah, and she actually imports her coffee from Guatemala. Nice. It's all grown over there. She goes out there, make sure everything's doing right. She really is growing her brand, which is awesome. By the way, shout out to Hersony, which we have been asking her, having her on, and we continue to delay that, but I don't know why. Yeah.
It's because they're not drinking the coffee.
We're not drinking the coffee.
You're not drinking the coffee. He's like, take that Starbucks.
But check this out. Eventually, we're gonna be like this. This episode is sponsored by Coffee Del Cid
and the Nostalgic Latino.
Yep, and the Nostalgic Latino.
Damn.
Hey, right. I got another question.
Este café es feliz. What happened?
When you're creating content, how long does something like that take to put together? And do you use I know I'm sure it takes hours of work on certain posts, but because you do a lot of work to it, and I was looking at your page and I see that there's a lot of time that goes into this. But tell us what with that creative process for you, and how long does it take?
It depends on the type of content that you want to do, but if I'm trying to be nostalgic in certain, I'll use the swamp meet one as an example, where I'm a kid and you're going to La Pulga or the swamp meet. So obviously you need to find good lighting. I have a traditional green screen, but I just don't tend to use it because it's a pain in the ass. I have to set up and take down again.
Feel that.
So I use the in-app green screen. Yeah, in-app green screen, and I'm recording stuff, and I'm finding images to put in the background. I'm finding the material that I need, like the puppets themselves. And then sometimes I might be dressed appropriately or dressed differently, for that content. Or if I'm doing like video content, I need to find the video, I need to edit that video in a certain way, and then I got to film my reaction to it. So it depends. I'd say something that's like maybe 15 to maybe 30 seconds long. I would probably say like a couple hours.
Wow.
If you want to, it depends, because I mean, you're recording it and then you have to edit it. And then maybe you want to put audio to it, or you want to put music onto it.
Right.
And it's, it really depends. And the only reason why it takes hours is because me personally, I'm always trying to find the right take.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, did I do the right shock face? Like, you know, or did I react the way that I was supposed to, or should I have reacted to this part of the video or something like that?
This is actually good information that he's giving us, because that's specifically what our podcast is about, like to understand the concept and what it takes to build content and build your brand the way you have, and the time it takes to create something so simple, or what may seem simple, something that's 15 to 60 seconds long that could take 3 hours just to do, you know. So people need to understand, like, if you're trying to become a digital creator, a content creator, you need to go in understanding the time it's going to take and the amount of effort it takes, and not to give up on it the same way that you did. I mean, going back from your humble beginnings where you were doing, I think it was a friend of yours, doing these skits, and then now doing your own stuff, and just the amount of views and likes that you get, you know, continuing and pursuing your passion without giving up.
Yeah, that's essentially what you got to do. You just got to roll with it. I mean, if you feel like it's just too much work for you, then maybe it is, and maybe that's not what you're trying to do. But at that point, you probably might need a team. But then you're not really. That's a lot of work. But when you really enjoy what you're doing, then you're your own main star. You're your own co-star. You're your own director. You're your own editor.
Yeah.
You're your own everything.
Yeah.
So that's how that's how content creation happens. And you know, if you have the passion to do it, then it's really fun to see the fruition of that come alive, and just seeing people just react to it.
Is there anything that you want to say to those out there that are in that stage of wanting to create something, or that are maybe at a point where they're done and giving up because they don't see the numbers? What's your best advice to people who want to be what you're doing as a digital creator?
I think one thing that's really important is finding what your niche is going to be. Like, what do you want to focus on? And not be too broad about it, because if you're too broad about whatever you're doing, then because there's a saturation of so many content creators out there, you got to find a way to kind of stick out. And you want to find your niche. Like, what is it that you really enjoy doing? Do you like cooking? Do you like making people laugh? Is your content revolved around your dog? Is it around your small business or something like that?
Right.
And whatever it is, try to find, you know, in my opinion, I think relatability is probably the most important one, because I feel that if you got a lot of people that are able to resonate with that particular situation, or resonate with a problem that you can fix with maybe your product or something, then I feel that is your go-to. And most importantly is being consistent. And you're not going to find success immediately. That never happens.
Right.
It's very difficult to be able to do that. I mean, some people get lucky, but maybe they become viral for the wrong reasons. You know, and then in reality, they're viral for those reasons, but you know, eventually it falls off. But yeah, my thing is find a niche that you really enjoy, that you really love to do. Because if you end up doing something that you don't really like, then you're just going to lose. You're going to burn yourself out, and you're just not really going to have fun with it. Because if you're just doing it to try to get famous, then you're not going to have a good time.
That's true.
You gotta go with the mentality of,
that's a great point.
Do it because that's what you like doing, and you're hoping for the best, that things will work out. Because if you're just doing it as I'm hoping that I'm gonna get famous, then you're gonna disappoint yourself all the time, and you're gonna be your worst critic. But if you do it and you're hoping for the best, then it leaves a little bit more room for disappointment to not feel so bad.
And then I guess don't pay attention to the numbers and just keep grinding it out, right? Keep posting, keep posting, keep pushing. Put your content out there.
Numbers is one thing. I mean, numbers are good. I think numbers are good in terms of analytics, in terms of studying things.
The algorithms.
Like the algorithms and maybe finding a sweet spot in terms of how many seconds should your content be.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, what's the perfect sweet spot. Like, should I be posting videos that are 15 seconds long, 30 seconds long? Do I ever go over a minute? Stuff like that. And then that's where I think the numbers really do matter. And then but if you're just constantly looking at, oh man, I only gained 5 followers from this video, or I only gained 2, or I lost 5, and then you're just constantly like, you're gonna rack your brain around and you're just gonna stress yourself out.
True.
And you're gonna be asking yourself and doubting yourself a hell of a lot more, and you're like, why isn't this working? Why aren't the followers coming? Why are my numbers not increasing? And then it's like, maybe because you're concentrating too much on it, that you're not really rolling with the punches here.
No,
so it's tough. But I mean I've been at this I started this back in when COVID happened. Obviously there's a lot of people that had a lot of time,
right?
Like 2 weeks, guys, just 2 weeks, just stay in. And then everybody took advantage of those 2 weeks, and everybody just did all of that. But the field is hard, man. It's saturated. You just gotta find your niche and just find what you really enjoy doing, and put yourself to learn new techniques. And when you find those new techniques, and you're like, oh hey, then what if I try this and that? And they'll just come to you.
With that being said, thank you so much for joining us, and again,
Carlos,
giving us the time.
Very cool, man.
To come and talk to us and hang out with us. Make sure you guys follow the Nostalgic Latino at the Nostalgic Latino on Instagram, and make sure you guys follow us as well. We need the numbers.
Yeah, Tapped In Media on YouTube.
Yeah, everybody stay tapped in, y'all.
Stay tapped in. Thanks,
you, Carlos. We appreciate your time.
We appreciate your time, man. Make sure you guys like and subscribe our YouTube channel at Tapped In Media as well. Again, thank you. Have a great day, and we'll connect again for sure.
Yeah, I would love to. We want to follow up with you,
man. And then if anybody has the Spanish on button, solamente Tapped In Media, por favor.
Aquí estamos.
Suscríbete.
Suscríbete.
Thanks, brother.